disorder characterized by a traumatic experience like divorce, abuse, death, neglect, everybody knows, going to war. In defense, the body releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Post-traumatic stress disorder happens when not enough cortisol is released and the body becomes stuck in the defense mode. And so the body thinks it's in trauma all the time, and it doesn't know how to get out. It's like a loop, almost like the brain can get in a loop that can't get out of. And that can happen with weight, addiction, depression, post-traumatic stress. It just kind of loops, and what we want to do is break up that loop, you know, and teach it a new way to do things. So symptoms include re-experiencing flashbacks, intrusive thoughts and images, traumatic dreams, physiological reactions. You try to numb it out, shutting down, you don't want to talk about it. And then people tend to get into addictions, alcohol and drugs, to deal with it, to numb it out. Arousal, cognitive dysfunction, startle responses, anxiety, hypervigilance, like, you know, they never feel safe. They're scanning the environment all the time. And if your body's constantly scanning because you never feel safe, then you are stressed out all the time. And I'm telling you, I just got back from a symposium that I spoke at in New Mexico for osteopaths, and there was an endocrinologist there, and he went down the pathways of stress. And this is why I learned all this stuff to begin with. I was in med school and I was stressed, and I was having children as they went through med school. And so my focus became on how to stress and unravel health, because as I went to med school, I want to know, why do people get sick in the first place? And the more I studied, the more I realized they weren't answering my question. And I came to the conclusion that stress starts everything. And it does. I finally got an endocrinologist who spent 3 hours teaching us how stress unravels it from the brain down to the cellular level. It was awesome. I gave him a big hug. I go, I've been trying to put this together for 25 years. And he finally put it together, and he did an awesome job. He's an endocrinologist that never prescribes hormones anymore, or any medications. And he made a heck of a lot of sense. And so I learned a lot from him. But anyway, stress is a big deal. So if somebody's in a chronic state of stress, then their health is going to unravel rapidly. And they're going to have all kinds of problems. Immune system dysfunction, high blood pressure, blood sugar problems, high cholesterol, lose bone, testosterone's going to go down. So all these things happen if that's a perpetuating state. And then low self-esteem, substance abuse, stomach aches, headaches, depression, sense of hopelessness. And so they get into depression. So it kind of starts being an overlying problem. So here's a case study. A 50-year-old male presented with chronic pain, memory problems, verbal aggression, depression, attention problems, and nightmares. He had a history of a head injury and coma, and he had also been, I can't remember now why I put him under post-traumatic stress, but something had happened. Well, I guess just the head injury stressed him out. You know, the accident and different things. His medications blew me away. When I met this guy, his wife brought him in. He was on Prozac, oxycodone, methadone, temazepam and lorazepam, which are like Valium, 2 of them, and Claritin. I'm looking at this guy going, how are you even walking around? I was like, wow. You know, and he was sitting there, and he really wasn't very with it. I mean, he was having a conversation with me, but he was pretty drugged up. And his poor wife, she's trying to get some help for him. She didn't know what else to do. And I think he got this through the VA or somewhere. I'm looking at that going, wow. Okay, so he was not easy. But his pain, aggressiveness, headaches, racing thoughts, spaciness, night terrors, and hyperfocus all improved after 37 treatments. Quite a bit. 75%. That looks like 33%. That's about 50%, 50%, 50%, 75% improvement, and 50%. No, 75% improvement there. That's pretty good, yeah.
What do you call hyperfocus?
How would you describe that? It's like, I'm sorry.
They're certainly not settled. It might be, with PTSD, one of the main criteria is exaggerated startle response. Everything startles you all the time. Dropping something, you're always startled, so you're always ready to defend yourself because something in that traumatic incident just keeps you on edge all the time. So you're always looking over your beneficial. That's why they can't sleep well. You want to sleep with one eye open and one eye shut because you don't trust the world.
You know, I was at osteopathic. Do you guys know what an osteopath does? Have you ever see Nebraska? Even if they get an osteopathic degree, they don't practice it much here. They go and act and practice like an MD, but they can manipulate the body, soft tissue, and kind of chiropractic. So they talked about how even the way we sit when we're on a computer or when we're driving, you kind of get in this stance, your body gets in this stance, and that's the fight or flight. Even posture can put you in a stressful, give your body a signal that you're in a stressful state. And driving kind of you are, you know, a lot of times. Okay, so he was able to wean off most of his medications, reducing them by 75%. I got him off of 75% of his meds. And then he goes, I'm going to start wood turning again. And I don't know, people around here don't know what that is, but I have a vase in my office that was wood turned. And apparently it takes them a long, long time to do it. It's a pressing of wood and turning and pressing and turning to get a hollowed out vase. It's very beautiful. And he does that. He said he was going to start doing that again. And he thought he was ready to start working. His wife didn't think he was going to start working. And then I haven't seen him again for a while. So, but he got a lot better. So I was very happy with that. He still wasn't where I'd like to see him, but that's fine. It's a big improvement. So it's practice here in a loving environment where you're accepted for who you are. And technology, I just like to make this point, technology is only good as its operator. I think that sometimes we come to depend on a machine to fix us or a pill to fix us, or we kind of put the power outside of ourselves to help us get better. And that is not really what happens. The healing actually comes from you. So if you're in a room with somebody that you don't trust and you're uncomfortable with, and they're putting this device on your brain, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get better than if you're with somebody you trust that is totally here 100% for you, which is why I hired Scott, because he is. And he's got 25 years of training of working with your heart, working from the heart. So if we're going to work with the brain, we need to work from our heart. Because actually, I also saw this, and you'll hear more about this, but the heart is 80% of your decision making, and only 20% comes through the brain. The heart actually is 10 times as powerful as the brain. It's easier to get an EKG reading on a heart than it is an EEG reading on the brain. The voltage is much higher here. So the heart's a big deal, and you can give two people the same instrument, and look at a musical instrument. Somebody who puts their heart in it and feels the music and who has a good ear is a heck of a lot better than somebody that just technically knows how to do it. Or a dancer. You can see a person you can watch it, somebody who's technically good versus somebody who feels the music. That's what he does, and that's important to me. And it's important to you, because I don't want I want the best possible outcomes, so it makes a big difference who's doing this. How are we on time? Okay, we're doing all right, I think. Let me see what slide I'm on. I can't tell.